Hello, everybody. Just making sure everything is in check here. It should be popping up on my little screen here in a second. Just want to make sure everything's okay. Everything's looking okay on my end. Thanks for joining my, Wednesday afternoon live stream. I do have a couple things here that I want to get done. So I like doing these live streams just to get some of these chores done. So let me know down in the comment section here if you can hear me or not. Hopefully this will be the first live stream that doesn't have any audio issues. So looks like everything's okay. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. Okay, sound is great. The video feed is good. So I'm going to get right into it. I have a couple things in front of me here. I have two orchids. So this is something that I really don't show on my channel very often, are my Phalaenopsis orchids. I'm not an expert in this, but I actually neglect these super bad. So it's time to give these a little bit of care. I've been waiting for some orchid mix from VeryPlants, so I finally got that, and now I want to repot one of these orchids. It's just in a smaller pot. So it's time. It's literally like expanding this little plastic pot. So I want to take it out of the pot and put it in something a little bit larger, and it's actually in moss. So I want to get it out of the sphagnum moss and put it in something more appropriate. Then I have this one. I think this one might have like a purple flower, but as you can see, it's kind of leaning off to the side. It's busting out of this pot as well. There are some roots that are looking a little bit crusty here. So that is the main thing that I want to get done for today's video. And then I have a philodendron that I want to put on a moss pole. I do have some Alocasia Jacqueline propagations. I want to take either one or two of these corms, put them in some aroid mix, and take that upstairs. So I have a bunch in here, so obviously I can spare some. Just like my live from the other day, I always love seeing where you guys are from. So let me know where you guys are watching from. Looks like Michigan, West Virginia. Patty says she set her timer so I could watch your live video today, watching from California. So thanks, Patty. Texas, France, Chicago. Tim, I think you were in the chat the other day. So if you were, it's good to see you again. Thanks for joining the chat again. Texas, Massachusetts. Oh boy. Flint, Michigan, Colorado. Mike, thanks. Jeff, love these lives. So I love doing them. I love interacting with you guys, seeing your questions. Iowa, from Michael. Yeah, these are a good way to interact. You guys can ask questions, and then I can do my plant chores. So I'm not going to let it go as long as the other live on the weekend there. I think that one went for like 2 hours. So Poland. Okay, one other, I don't want to say big thing, but it's a big thing for me. I have a jade video coming out on Saturday, and I want to show you what I did to my plant. Missouri. Okay, so here is my jade plant. So the reason why it's a big video for me is because I've never done a complete prune. I pruned off every branch and every leaf on this plant. So yeah, you'll have to watch that on Saturday. The reason why I did this drastic of a prune is because it had pest damage. So I actually took it outside. I started spraying off the leaves. It needed to be watered. This is in like such compact soil. It needs to be repotted here soon, but I wanted to give it some water. And then when looking at the leaves, it looked like pretty heavy thrip damage on there. So if you want to see that video on this jade, go check it out on Saturday. West Virginia. Do you water orchids using ice cubes? Beverly says from Michigan. I do not. I was actually talking with a coworker the other day about this. They said that they put ice cubes on their orchid. And I think Matt from TechPlant actually did a video on this, whether the temperature affects the roots or anything like that. And in that video, I don't think it did, but I guess the concept with watering with ice cubes is that it's just a slow kind of trickle of water, and it just, yeah, I honestly don't know why people would water with ice cubes, but I don't. In this video, I am going to show you how I water mine. I brought like a little spray bottle and container, and so I'll kind of go through how I care for it. Like I said, I neglect these super bad, to the point where they like all shriveled up and some of the leaves are turning yellow. So I just wanted to mention my jade video for Saturday. Enjoy your lives. I'm a routine watcher, but my first comment, sweet. That's from Dawn, San Antonio, Texas, and it's from Colorado. Yeah, that's awesome. I love seeing where you guys are from. 47 people, holy smokes. I'm going to show you an example of another jade plant that I did kind of, not this like drastic of a prune, but I chopped off the majority of the branches. And this is what it looks like now. So super vibrant green leaves. It's branching out in pretty much every area where I cut. So this one is looking super healthy, and I'm really liking how it's turning out so far. So if you're interested in a jade video, another jade video, then go check it out this weekend. Okay, now let's get to the action. I'm going to start with the smaller orchid here first. This one. How long will you think it will take for a smaller jade plant to regrow from a prune? I guess it depends on the conditions. Anytime that I do a massive pruning, like the branches or a root prune, be sure to give it lots of light afterwards so that it can continue to grow. Right now, it's kind of pushing the limits. This, the one that I completely chopped up, that was just a bunch of stem propagations from a prune that I did probably a couple of years ago. Yeah, this one, whether it lives or dies, doesn't really matter to me. I have 4 main jade plants that are very meaningful to me. This one, it was just kind of like a little experiment plant. I put a bunch of stems in one pot, and the goal for it was to never prune it. I wanted it to kind of just cascade down from the hanging pot. This one I have hanging in my window, so I really didn't care what happened with it. It was just something I just stuck a bunch of stems in. But in regards to how long it'll take, right now it's in natural sunlight in my south-facing window, and now that it's entering fall, it's not going to be receiving, I guess, as much intense light. So the growth is definitely going to slow down. I probably would recommend waiting till, I guess, maybe next spring or summer, once it kind of comes out of dormancy and it's actively pushing out new growth. This one I'm okay with. Whatever it does, it does. I just wanted to kind of deal with that pest issue. So it'll probably take maybe a couple weeks before I start to see those little buds popping through the stem there. Been subscribed to you since 10,000K. My question is it okay to put sand in alocasia poly mix, soil mix? Sand for alocasias, I guess it depends what your kind of like base soil is. If it's like a tropical soil, instead of adding sand, I'm assuming that you're adding sand for drainage. If you have just like a regular tropical soil mix, I would probably mix in either more perlite or like orchid bark instead of sand. If you're looking for more of an airy mixture, where it comes Sand, I would definitely use that for like your cactus and succulents, but I don't think I would put it in with orchid or alocasias. I would stick more to that chunky aroid mix. You can put a little bit of potting soil, some, like I said, orchid bark and perlite. That's probably what I would do. I'm trying to, Beverly says, I'm working on jade plants. I'm trying to get a tree with brown stems. The brown stems come over, or they come with time. As the plant grows, then the green fleshy stems begin to, I think it's called cork or corking, and then yeah, as it ages, it gets that woody appearance. So okay, I don't have much time today. I'm gonna try and keep it up like maximum an hour. So New Zealand, Tennessee, Ontario. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take all this moss off. And these roots are super, super healthy. They are thick and chunky and nice and green. One thing that I read with orchids in specifically or in particular is that if you have them in clear cups, their roots will turn green, or they will be green, and they can actually photosynthesize as well. I'm gonna see if I can get maybe a little cup to put all this moss in. I just don't want to mix it. My monstera leaves grow straight down. Is this okay? Uh-oh. Is this mold? Looks like mold. Is that, like, which direction is your light source? I wish we could share like pictures on here, and then you could send me a picture with what you're referring to. Mine right now, like this one right here, can you see it? It's growing kind of almost like a, just kind of face up, I guess, because of the grow lights. It all depends on the direction of your light source. Basically, they act like little solar panels. So as long as it's healthy, then I don't see why you'd have to change anything. But if it's not getting enough light, or if it's looking really stretched out, then definitely give it some higher light. But it's probably facing down. I don't think I've ever seen a monstera leaf grow straight down. Is the leaf like facing you, or is it like straight down like that? Like with the back of the leaf upright or facing up? Is that what you mean? Hi from Denmark. Is it quite easy to propagate a jade? Or no? Also, do you work with aloe? I've had an aloe plant, but I haven't been able to. That was like a long time ago when I first started collecting plants. Just like everybody else, I did have an aloe, and I really haven't had one since. I know they need a lot of sun. Okay, so this one's pretty much dismantled. Hi from Germany. Thanks for everyone joining the live stream. So now what I'm looking for, I love these orchid roots, like they're so thick. So now what I'm looking for are areas of rot. This part of the stem looks like it got cracked or creased, and the lower half is no longer viable. So I'm just going to cut that like that. There's no signs of root rot. Here's another root that kind of snaps, so I'm just going to cut that back. And it's actually getting a new leaf here as well. I don't think it's this one. Before I forget to mention, so this is the flower spike, and obviously there's no more flowers on this one. It was a little bit longer, but I have it right on the table beside me here. And every time I passed it, I would always bump it. So I just cut the flower spike a little bit shorter, just so I don't knock this one off the table. Now, whenever a flower spike loses its flowers, don't cut it off unless it turns to like brown. it's basically dead. You'll know when it's dead because I don't know if you can see it, but right here, there is a new flower spike coming from this stem. And I'm just looking, looks like up here as well, right here. So it looks like it's going to branch out in at least 2 areas for a new flower spike. And this one, yeah, it's going to get a bigger pot. So I will deal with that later. Do I have any begonias? No, that's one type of plant I've never bought. From Toronto, I love your videos. Thank you. I don't know what it's called, but orchids are like staghorn plants. They don't need to grow in soil. Nope, they are epiphytes or epiphytic plants. They grow on trees. They receive their moisture and nutrients from these big, thick roots. I'm just going to cut these ones off here too, because a couple areas where they snapped off. So came from this little pot, and I'm putting it in something a little bit larger. Now, with orchids, in my experience, I don't give them a large pot. I think they're a type of plant that likes to be a little bit more snug. So I'm just cutting off all these broken roots. If I'm getting any information wrong, it is simply just from my experience, but please, in the comment section, if you guys have experience with orchids or you guys collect orchids, let me know what things work for you, or if there's any other tips and tricks and that sort of thing for everyone else to view as well. Can you snap? It says, why did you cut higher than that crack on the root? Just because eventually, like if there's a crack here, I just cut it back just in case there's any rot close to the crack or the break. So I cut it back just to avoid any root rot. So it's got tons of healthy roots, so I'm not too concerned about that. So, okay, the rest look fine. So for pot size, I went up 1 pot size larger. So here's the little, this one's going right in the trash. And then I'm going to this size pot. You can see all the roots fit in there nicely. So this is the pot that I'll be using. And then I have this bag of this is the Molly's orchid mixture. It looks very similar to their aroid mixture, but this stuff is super gritty. So it's all bark, and then it has some like little stones and stuff in here. I didn't even actually look at the ingredients, but I've been wanting to try this for a while, so that's why I've been waiting for this stuff to come in. So I'm just gonna make some room and throw out all those other roots. Patricia says you should cut the flower spike when all the flowers fall, even if the spike is still green. New flowers will come out, will be smaller. Also, the plant needs to recover from flowering. Interesting. Okay, good to know. I've heard kind of both things. I'm going to talk about fertilizer and what I do, but again, it's another, I don't want to say controversial topic because it's not, but some people do things differently when it comes to orchids, when it comes to fertilizer. So I'll talk about what I do with fertilizer, which I forget to fertilize quite often. So I don't even remember the last time these were fertilized. So that's why I kind of brought it out today, just to remind myself that they need some fertilizer. So it sounds like Patricia has quite a bit of orchids and a few years of experience. So good to have you in the chat. More than 40, holy cow. I have these two other Phalaenopsis, and then I can't remember the name of this one, but it does get, it's something apple, red apple or something like that. But It hasn't flowered yet. It did get like a little flower spike, and then it died back, and it got kind of a side growth. So there's actually 2 plants in here now, but I did buy this from a local plant shop, and these leaves are just absolutely incredible. But I can't wait for this one to flower. It's not a phalaenopsis. It's a very, I don't even know how to describe this flower. I've seen pictures of it, but that's never actually flowered for me. Okay, so now I'm not going to be putting any of the orchid mix in the bottom of the pot. I want this to be seated kind of at that level, maybe a little bit higher. All I'm going to do is a slipper orchid. I can't remember the name of it. I should have written it down before I did the live. There goes my book again. So all I'm going to do is just add in the orchid mix around it. You can shake the pot, or you can get yourself a pencil. This is the old number 2. Someone said for a video idea that I should do a pencil lineup, because I do have just these random pencils laying around all the time. So that's just kind of how it became a plant tool. Yeah, Mel he's asking what type of orchid it is. I can't even pronounce the name, let alone remember it right now, but yeah. So this one, I'm gonna just make sure it stays upright. I don't want it kind of bent over like this one. This one, I don't even know how it got like that. Probably fell off the table a bunch of times. Tim says philodendrons love that orchid mix too. Have you tried this specific like orchid mix, or just like orchid mix in general? Because it's very similar to their aroid mix. I have to take a closer look at the actual ingredients, but this is definitely more barky, whereas the aroid mix, it has almost like loose soil fibers, if that makes sense. This doesn't. Definitely, these are going to be getting some water, so they've been, like I said, pretty neglected. I use chopsticks. A lot of people use chopsticks for as a plant tool. Chopsticks are great for, or those little bamboo skewers, for testing soil moisture as well. You don't need like a moisture meter. You just put a chopstick or a bamboo skewer down in the soil. Let it sit there for a few seconds. If the stick is wet, or if there's any soil sticking to it, then you know the soil is wet or damp and you don't need to water it. But for your orchids, do you water bottom water or top water? I do kind of both. Now, I did bring a Tupperware container, so sometimes what I do is I will fill up that container, place the pot in it, and bottom water, so just let it soak up and let it sit in there for a few minutes. I haven't done that in a long time. Basically, what I do is I take them over to my bathroom. I have a garden hose in the basement here, and I will soak the soil. So I'll just spray it down. Lately, I've been dealing with like thrips and everything down here. So not only do I water it, but I just spray off the leaves. And I know they say not to get like the crown wet or anything like that, but where you run into the issue with pretty much any plant and like spraying off the leaves, especially like cactus and succulents and these orchids, is you don't want that water sitting on the leaves, because that's when you start to develop fungal issues, that powdery mildew stuff. It basically leaves it open to infection, I guess you can say. Now, as long as you have good airflow, downstairs here I have an oscillating fan, so I don't have any issues with spraying off the leaves because I know there's going to be sufficient airflow to help dry it off fast. So if you have windows open or something like that, then that's good as well. But yeah, I spray them off in the shower, the leaves and the soil. Patricia is asking, I can't even pronounce that, and I don't even know what type of plant that is. I'm assuming that's an orchid. To answer that question, I have no idea. Like I said, I'm not an orchid expert. I do watch a lot of videos from, oh, what's that channel? Miss Orchid Girl. She has pretty much a video for any type of question, fertilizer, repotting, all that kind of stuff. That's an absolutely wonderful channel. Patricia's laughing at me. Do you find that using the orchid mix is better than mixing your own? Everyone has their own, I guess, recipe. For me, I like the aroid mixture because everything is complete in one bag. Yeah, I don't like having multiple bags of different types of soil here. So I know it's probably cheaper to do it that way in, I guess, the long run kind of thing. I don't have space right now just because I have all these houseplants. I don't have space for like big bins where I can mix in a bunch of soil. So I like this size of bag, and then I can place it. I got some storage underneath this workshop table here. So this side is soils, and this side is like pots and just kind of plant accessories. But I like using it just for the ease of it. I don't have to mix anything together. I don't have to go to multiple stores. A lot of times, like our local plant shops, they'll be sold out of certain products like leca or like worm castings and that sort of thing. But I usually don't find those kinds of specific ingredients at like big box stores other than just like tropical soil or like an orchid mix. So I don't, yeah, I don't like going to like a ton of different places just to get some soil. Patricia says she always top water so that the minerals and salts do not stay in the pot. Yeah, that's a good point too. So if you bottom water not only orchids but other plants, make sure that every once in a while you water from the top down, like she said, so that you can flush away salts and minerals and that kind of thing. I keep putting off buying Molly's potting mix because it's a little pricey. Yeah, it is, but honestly, everything that I use it with loves it. And I know it's just because of the airflow and, you know, just lots of airflow to the roots, but it is a good mix. And it's just, yeah, I don't have to go out and buy a bunch of different bags. It comes pre-mixed in one bag. It's wonderful. Give it a try. How much fertilizer do you use for your aroids? Tim says. My fertilizing routine is pretty sporadic because I have so many plants and I can't keep track of exactly when I watered, you know, one group of plants or one plant and not the rest. So upstairs, most of my plants right now are under natural sunlight. I do have some philodendrons and cactus and stuff on a plant shelf under grow lights. I'll probably stop fertilizing all my upstairs ones probably right now. I haven't fertilized them for a while, so I'll just continue to water them as needed. But downstairs here under my grow lights, it's pretty much one season all the time because they're on 12-hour timers. So they don't really go through like a less light phase. So I will continue to water my plants downstairs. And what I normally do is I will use kind of like a half dose for my aroids, and I will pretty much with every watering, especially the ones that are on moss poles, I will take it over to the plant, like my plant shower, my shower that I have a garden hose. I'll spray off the plants, I'll water it, and then I will spray. I have a little spray bottle with water and fertilizer. I'll spray down the moss pole, I'll kind of soak it and water the plant and just kind of let it drain out. So pretty much every watering For the last week, none of my plants have been getting fertilizer. I've just been using straight water. I'm trying to conserve this, the Foliage Grow or Dynagrow Foliage Pro, because this is my last bottle and you can't buy it anywhere where I am right now, and it's ridiculously expensive on Amazon. This is, yeah, the Dynagrow, but it's been, I guess, bought out by Super Thrive, so it's called Super Thrive Foliage Pro. And this is what I use for pretty much all of my houseplants. Every aroid, I even use this for my succulents, and I use them. I have two, I guess, types of plants in water long-term. I have my Monstera that's been growing in straight water for like 2 years, almost 2 years. And this is what I use. So it has a hydroponic dose as well as just a regular potting mix dose, if that makes sense. For me, it's worth it. The lack of fungus gnats with mollies. Yeah, no pests in there. And I think that's one of the things that they claim is everything is like pH balanced and pest and disease free. I think it says right on the package. Sauerkraut. How is the Pothos race going? If you follow, I feel like maybe you're just egging me on here a little bit, but if you've been watching THICCLY's channel, he put his in that hyperbolic chamber. I can't compete with that. That thing is a beast now. Mine's still growing good, and I have to keep an eye out for like thrips. But he's blowing me out of the water with leaf size because of just the heat and humidity that he can generate with that hyperbolic chamber. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be talking about this, but me and Matt from THICCLY, we do plan on making another series once the Pothos series is complete. So we're just kind of in the planning stages of what to do next. So it'll be a different type of plant, and we're just kind of setting out some ideas of things. So if you guys have any ideas of a plant challenge that you'd like to see next, leave it in the comment section, and then I'll kind of forward this over to Matt as well. And then hopefully we can come up with another interesting plant series for you guys to watch, which I love it. I love making videos and just going back and forth with THICCLY. Right now he's in the bragging stages just because of his plant. It's getting apparently a fenestration, so good for him. It's a beautiful, he did exceptionally well. So I'll see you in the next one. Okay. This one's a little bit tougher to get out because it has some roots poking through. So this is an orchid. I can tell already that I used the Pro Mix orchid mix, and it seems to have done well. Like, it's got some nice chunky pieces of bark. It's got some charcoal, perlite. So for a cheap orchid mix, this it's sufficient. So here's some old flower spikes. You can see, whoops, I just dropped a bunch on. Right here, there's an old flower spike, which I cut off. And here's another one. So it has flowered a number of times. This one is super dry. I've really let this one go too far. Here's some crusty looking roots. So I have to pay more attention to the watering of these because I definitely underwater. So I'm just cleaning this one up a little bit. I'm not really going to mess with the roots too much because everything looks, actually I'm just going to trim away some of the dead ones at the bottom. There's not much I can do really about the top ones. I'm just going to snip away all the brown. And then this pot is slightly larger. Let me know as well if there's anything that you want to see in this video. If there's any plants that you are interested in. Just fire it off in the comment section. I'm just untangling some of these roots. And I've never actually done like a large root prune on an orchid. I'm going to fire this question off to Patricia. I'm going to talk about fertilizer here in a second, but I just want to kind of get done this potting here first. But one thing, look at this root. One thing I heard, and Patricia, you can answer this as well. You typically don't, if she's still in the chat here. I've always would love to see your jade plants. You have the nicest ones. I don't know if you're around, but I do have a jade video coming out this weekend. I'll have to do an updated one with all of my houseplants. I watered my large jade after the live stream this weekend. The leaves were super, super soft. Now they're nice and plump. Back to the fertilizer. Still here, good. I only ever fertilize when the plant is not flowering, and I'll explain a little bit about that afterwards. I've read kind of both arguments. You can fertilize these orchids year-round, but I only fertilize when they're not flowering. Some things that I've read is that generally the plant itself, and I guess it can be said for any plant that is flowering, it puts most of its energy and resources into producing the flower spikes or the flowers, like with any plant. So when a plant is flowering, you'll see minimal growth. You might have a little bit of like root growth and that sort of thing, but basically it's putting all its energy and focus into producing its flowers instead of leaves and roots. So when it's not growing vigorously like it is right now, all of my orchids are pushing out leaves. This is a perfect time to fertilize because it doesn't have any flowers. And I'm going to show you the fertilizer. I've probably had this for a few years, and you can see not much has been used. This is the orchid fertilizer. And you can see the NPK value, or the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, is 15, 5, and 5. When you have the first number, which is the nitrogen, when that's a higher number, nitrogen is, and again, I'm speaking very like basic or generally. When you have the higher first number, that is obviously more percentage of nutrients. Nitrogen is used primarily for like root and leaf development. Now, when you have a higher second number, like this is plant food for blooms. You can see, and this is just Miracle-Gro. It's like a granular fertilizer. You just mix it up in some water. I don't know if it'll show up on camera here or not, but this one is right here. 15, 30, and 15. So the second number, the phosphorus, is primarily used to help plants bloom or produce flowers. So just by judging by the fertilizer numbers on this one, this fertilizer is not meant to help an orchid flower. It's meant to help it establish roots and leaves. Hopefully that makes sense. So if this was meant to help an orchid flower, it would not be 15, 5, and 5. The middle number would be higher than the first number, if that makes sense. So if you look at different types of fertilizers for like tomatoes and stuff, they will have different numbers. And all that means or represents is, I think it's the percentage of that specific element or whatever it's called. Hopefully that makes sense. So today, let's see, this is a 936. This is what I use for pretty much every macronutrient. Yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, this is what I use for pretty much all my houseplants. It has a higher nitrogen. Nitrogen is 9. If you have one that's like 15, 30, and 15. Just dilute this. So if you cut it in half, then that's going to be like a 7.5, 15, 7.5. So that's what I would do. I dilute these, so I would cut this dosage in half. So if it says like 1 scoop, what is it, per like 4 liters, then I'll just cut that scoop in half, put it in 4 liters, and then that just brings those numbers down as well. So yeah, these, your fertilizer numbers, your NPK values are your macronutrients. In a fertilizer like this, it has a bunch of micronutrients as well, has a whole list of them. So that's why I like using it for plants in water, like the hydroponics, as well as my regular houseplants. So I haven't seen any comments from Patricia with how she fertilizes, but that is kind of my explanation for that. So I don't fertilize with if it's flowering. Fertilize once a month. I have a fertilizer that I buy at my orchid nursery, and about every 3 months I put in Osmocote, slow fertilizer, and small green pills. Interesting. So do you fertilize even when it's flowering? I'm just cutting off a few of these chunky roots at the bottom. Are you able to get Foliage Pro in Canada? Yes. I haven't been able to find it in any plant shop here where I am, but someone, they picked up a couple bottles from a store in Saskatoon, because I'm in Saskatchewan. They picked up from a store in Saskatoon. I haven't been able to find it here locally, and on Amazon, it's pretty expensive. So Patricia says she fertilizes even when it's flowering. Awesome. Yeah. Like I said, I've read both arguments to fertilize only when the flower spike has died back, and then there's others out there that say they fertilize whether it's flowering or not. So it's good to know. I have no idea what's in my fertilizer. That's okay. As soon as I'm done this one, I'm going to show how I water. And then I will kind of move on to the next plant. I'm going to put my philodendron there on a moss pole. And I'm just going to tear this leaf off. This one, it's pretty wrinkly. It's starting to turn yellow. So I'm just going to tear this off. Like that. That can go in the compost. And now I want this a little bit lower, and I want it straight this time. So I'm just going to push it down. Where'd my little cup go? And again, like I said, if there's anything that you guys want to see, any plants that you're interested about, I can, once I'm done this, I'll just go over and grab it and give an update. Never heard of Foliage Focus. Are you in Canada? That was from Tim. What is this leaf looking like? Do you guys have orchids? Do you collect orchids? I know a lot of people don't really like it when they're not flowering, but I do. I like. Whoops! Oh no! I like their big, thick, glossy leaves. I think they're pretty cool. U.S. Tim's in the U.S. Foliage Focus is an Australian brand. Interesting. I have all of my orchids right now under these grow lights. And I think it would, I haven't actually measured it, but I think it would be in the medium light range. But I know like a lot of people will just put these like on a tabletop or something like that, and probably not receiving enough light. And then like this smaller one, my smaller Phalaenopsis, it came in sphagnum moss, which it was a smaller pot, so I wasn't too worried about it staying like damp for longer. If it was in a larger pot and it was in sphagnum moss, I would have taken it out right away because you're gonna have some root rot. Okay, so this one's looking better already. I potted this one a little bit deeper. Okay. I should also mention, like I use this fertilizer mainly because of the ones that I have in water as well, but you can use just a regular Miracle Grow, like a balanced 20-20-20 or 10-10-10, something like that. Just a balanced fertilizer. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but I like to use it because I have my Monstera and some other plants growing in water. So I like to use it as the hydroponic dose as well as just the regular houseplant dosing. So, okay, I'm gonna get this stuff out of the way. I'm gonna grab my little spray bottle and then I'm gonna soak these. So I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I don't know if I can put it under here. So yeah, top or bottom watering is good. I mainly top water. And then here's my big pump action spray bottle, which I use for most of my houseplants. This is what I will fill up with fertilizer, and I will spray like my moss poles and that sort of thing. I know a lot of people use like water bottles filled with nutrients, like a nutrient water mixture. I take them over to the shower. I use my garden hose, and then I will spray down the plant afterwards with my fertilizer mix. So this is just straight water in here today. I'm going to soak the soil, let it kind of drain out, but I might fertilize after. I'll fertilize after the video. I don't have anything set up like my watering can and stuff, but I just want to give these a quick water because they definitely needed it. And I just want to show this here as well. One of the cool things that I love about orchids are their roots. So this one has been growing out of the pot. It's got these beautiful silvery green roots. And when they should not be like shriveled or anything like that because it will definitely need to be watered, or it definitely needs water. But when they are nice and green, they're nicely hydrated, but without making a large mess. You can see this one is silvery green. When you water it, I'm gonna put it over here, it turns a nice bright green. So it goes from silver to a nice bright green. I don't know, I just think that's cool. It just kind of changes color. What is your indoor humidity level at the moment? Do you struggle with dryness ever? Yes, where is it? Right now, downstairs, it's 51% and 22 degrees. Right now, it's not terrible. I do have a humidifier downstairs here. In the winter, I'm in Saskatchewan, so it gets very cold, and it's a very dry cold. Sometimes downstairs here can get down into like the 30s, 30%. So I do have a humidifier down here, but to balance that as well, I do have a little oscillating fan just to help with the humidity. Holy cow, it's already 10-3. Would you consider mounting your orchid? I often thought about putting one on a moss pole just to see how it would do. So yeah, I just have my little pump bottle and I soak, just gonna clean off the leaves a little bit, but I soak the entire soil just so it comes out the bottom and let it drip through. I have an orchid that grew a kiki, but it has never bloomed. I haven't had an orchid grow a little baby or pup like that. Okay, I'm going to quickly just water this. So this is what I do. I keep soaking it and soaking it, making sure that all of the orchid bark is saturated, and then I'll let it dry out. So again, just pay attention to the roots. It's almost 11 o'clock in France. My kids get home from school in a little while, so that's why I gotta hurry up here before Pickles and Oscar starts losing their mind when they come through the door. Okay, got this one watered. Here's another orchid that it is looking awful. This is one of my first ones, so this leaf not looking good, super dehydrated. This one's in terracotta. I know people will say don't put it in terracotta because it'll dry out too fast, but I find it's no different than the plastic pots that have slits on the sides, so they dry out fast. Okay, I should show this. So again, a nice silvery root. I soak the roots and the bark so that it is all, this is in my face, rehydrated. Everyone, please remember to like this video. Yes, always appreciate it. Thanks for joining me on a Wednesday afternoon. I have holidays this week, so I thought it would be a good time to do another live. I don't really have time to make another full video today. I already made that jade video, which is coming out on Saturday, but I had a couple plant chores that I wanted to do, specifically these orchids, just because they've been neglected. So I wanted to give them some water. I'm actually going to cut off some of these like dying roots. They definitely needed a good water. Okay. And you can see it does have a little bit of water, like in the crown part. You can tip it upside down, get some of that out. But like I said, I'm not worried about it because I have air circulation downstairs here. So this is how I water mine, mostly. Put it in a container, a tub. You can fill up the tub, let it soak up whatever water it needs for 20 minutes, half an hour kind of thing, or just thoroughly soak it. Love the silvery roots. Yeah, I think they are super, super cool. Okay, now it's flowing out the bottom, so I'll set this one aside. Like that. Gotta get my little one here. And then I'll put the philodendron on the moss pole. I was hoping to get this done a little bit quicker, just so it's not a whole orchid-based video, because I know a lot of people don't really care for orchids, so I'm trying to be quick. Since it is Wednesday afternoon, it's almost 3 o'clock here. What are you guys doing? What time is it where you guys are from? And what are you doing today? And again, thanks for joining us this live. I didn't think many people would be watching today, but there's 42 of you, so thank you for joining today. I'm just going to get this out of the way, and then I'm going to grab that philodendron. Hopefully I don't drop this water. I'm just going to put it aside so I don't step on it. Okay, now I'm going to bring up my soil here again. 11 p.m. in Germany. It's almost 4 o'clock. 4:55 Eastern time zone. This one right here. I can't remember, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the philodendron adopotensi, something like that. This is the newest leaf. It's looking not good because it has, or it did have thrips. That is thrip damage from when it was unfurling. So It's in a smaller pot. I have a moss pole kind of pre-made. It's really dry, so that one's getting water. And then I have a pot that is slightly larger than this one. So I don't have my little spoon. So perfect time to upsize into something a little bit larger, just because it's 4 o'clock in Texas. I've been watering plants while watching your videos. It's almost 2 p.m. here in California. Thanks for watching, everybody. So yeah, perfect time to repot this one because it's getting to be a little bit root bound. So I'm gonna break up the back of the plant, just so when I put it in the pot, the moss pole will be in contact with the roots at the back. So just gonna dig away at the back. I'm gonna leave the rest intact. West Virginia, and I'm still working. Uh-oh. Don't let your boss catch you. I'm battling thrips here and there on my plants. Are you still using that insecticide in that spray bottle? I've been kind of using a couple things. So here in Canada, I mentioned in the last live stream that you can't buy systemic here, but as far as I know, it's not a banned substance or insecticide. You can't buy it here, but I think you can bring it over the border. Like if you go down to the States, you can bring it back. But anyways, lately I've been using a product called Pure Crop 1. It's an organic insecticide, and I can't remember the exact ingredients. It's some sort of bean or oil or something like that. But I've been using that, and just a regular insecticidal soap from Safer's. I think it's fatty acids of potassium or something like that. And then the Safer's End All, which has some more chemicals in it. I like to stay away from the chemical stuff, just specifically in the house here. Anytime I use it, I'll always wear a mask, but I don't want everyone breathing it in. I'm going to upsize this into something a little bit larger. But what I've been doing primarily is, like I said, I take my plants over to the shower, I spray them off, I water them. A healthy plant is kind of the best prevention for houseplant pests, but when you have as many as I do, it's inevitable that you're going to get them. So I just try and manage them. I spray it off with the water, and then if I see any pests, then I'm going to use the Pure Crop 1. It's an organic mixture. So when I place the plant on the moss pole like this, and when I put it in the pot, it's not fitting completely. So I'm going to have to upsize it into one pot size larger, which I've come prepared with. So this, I believe, is a 6-inch pot, and you can see it fits in nice. I have a bag of aroid mix. Yeah, so I'm going to use this. This is my last bag of aroid mix, and I only have like half a bag left, so I'm going to have to order some more. You know, otherwise I can't do any more repotting stuff. Can't wait to see if it sizes up when we see an update from about pothos race. I think there's going to be one more video with the pothos race, and just because his is growing so well with his hyperbolic chamber, the heat and humidity. Yeah, we're basically going to, I think, end that series. But at the same time, we want to come up with a new idea for a competition. So I don't think I saw any ideas in the comment section here, but if you guys have any suggestions for the next competition series between me and TechPlant, leave it in the comment section here, and I always read all the comments afterwards, even though sometimes I miss your guys's comments and stuff in the chat. I'll go back later, like tonight, and I'll watch it again, and then I kind of review. So if you have any suggestions for another pothos race idea, then just leave it down here, like a plant or anything like that. different types of growing conditions. I don't have room for one of those like growing tents, so I can't compete with his hyperbolic chamber. I've been using Pure Crop 1 from your suggestion. I like it. What are you just using it as like a preventative, or were you battling a certain pest like thrips as well? I think it does work because I'll show you here in a second. My little Monstera Thai constellation up here, as well as my Monstera Burrow Marks Flame, it had like, it was, I'll say like infested with those nymph thrips. They're the very small yellow white ones. It was like coated on the back. And I think I've used it maybe 3 or 4 times to treat it, and I haven't seen them on those leaves anymore. Obviously, there are other plants that have, you know, maybe the occasional thrip, but not like these ones. I'll show you here in a second. Rick Orchids is a good channel on orchids and feeding. Is that what it's called? Rick and then / orchids? I use the plant Velcro to secure my plant to the moss pole. That way I can free up a hand to put soil in, but it also keeps the stem against the moss so that there's optimal contact for growing. And now I'm going to add a little bit of the leftover mix from the other stuff in the bottom of this pole, like that. Please show me how to keep from over-fertilizing my Monstera, the variegated one. Uh-oh, what happened? I got a message. I don't know what that means. Something popped up. I've never seen that before. And I probably should have added maybe a little bit of soil just at the bottom. I'm just going to reuse this stuff. It's kind of a combination of the aroid mix as well as the orchid mix. Just going to put it like that so it's a little more, it's not so deep. And then what I've been doing with my moss poles lately is instead of having it like straight upright, I just kind of angle it backwards a little bit. And then that way, as the plant grows, it's going to get heavier, it's going to get larger leaves. So when it's angled backwards, it's not going to pull it forward. If you had it straight up and down, it tends to want to lean forward, and then your pot's going to fall over. Battling mealy bugs, but we'll use as a preventative as well. Also treat new plants before placing with others. I don't quarantine my plants just because I have a lot of plants and they all have pests. So if I quarantine a new plant, I'm basically just protecting them from the ones that I have. Plus, I don't have like a specific area where I can quarantine a plant. If you watched my, where is it? My live on the weekend, some of my Hoyas and stuff upstairs have mealy bugs. It's the first time that I've been dealing with it. I guess the primary treatment for mealy bugs is like rubbing alcohol. You can get a Q-tip and basically just spot treat as you see them. I don't have time for that, so I just went out and bought the 70% alcohol hand sanitizer in a spray bottle, and I've been spraying down all of my cactus that and Hoyas that have had mealy bugs, and I really haven't found any. I know they're probably there for sure, just because specifically with the Hoyas, it's hard to treat every leaf and stem, but it's definitely helped with my cactus. I would, if you haven't used rubbing alcohol in the past, then I would, before spraying your entire plant, I would spot treat it just to make sure it doesn't damage your leaves. But that's what I've been using lately, is just a spray bottle, hand sanitizer, rubbing alcohol hand sanitizer, and it's pretty much gotten rid of mealies. I've never dealt with them before, but nasty little things. Definitely quarantine. according to Tim. I know a lot of people quarantine, and it's a good habit to get into. I just don't. I don't. All my plants have pests. I just manage them. I'm going to spray this one off after the video as well. I want to get to this little alocasia corm here quick and pot that up. I have to show this. This is my Cebu Blue, which I'm so proud of. I started a Cebu Blue on a plank, and long story short, it didn't survive because I wasn't able to transition it, like take a top cutting. Because when you grow a plant on a plank, the roots are for primarily support, whereas if you have it in a moss pole, the roots are an extension of the pot, the growing medium. So it's very easy to do like a chop and prop. So if you want to take the top and like if it outgrows the pole, you can chop the pole. The plant will have a root system to sustain it when you put it in a new pot. But look at these leaves. Here's some of the original ones. I had to basically restart this plant. So I took it, or I placed a cutting in water, put it on a moss pole, and from these small leaves to these beasts here, I've been protecting this one from thrips. I look this one over often. So yeah, this one is one of my favorite plants. I love it. Too many plants and not enough space. Yeah, I'm assuming you're referring to you can't quarantine your plants either. Such large leaves and fenestrations. Yep, it's getting little holes in here too. So it's got the slits in the leaves. And this one is sized up really, really well. I need to figure out how I can get my camera, which is on a tripod, into more of a mobile type or mobile way, so that I can bring you around my room and it's just not stationary. I started to do a little bit of investigation about getting like a second camera, one that's like pointing downwards so you can see what I'm doing, and then I can toggle between this camera and another one. But I need to do a little more research just to see if I can set something like that up. So here are all my little alocasia Jacqueline corms. Here is a philodendron serpens, and then here's another alocasia, or no, sorry, an anthurium. Took just a stem cutting. This one's activated a few different nodes, so got some tiny little leaves on that. And I'm gonna start off with this pot. So just a small little orchid pot. I'm gonna find a couple corms with larger leaves. I had a whole bunch from my one large alocasia Jacqueline. It went dormant. I cut it back and I put it in separate pots. So I think I showed this one in the last live stream. So it had two stems in it. One, it went dormant, and this one, they're literally beside each other. This one's doing great. I have to watch this one constantly for spider mites. So if I start to see any yellowing of the leaves, then I will spray it off with just like an insecticidal soap or even just a good blast of water. But overall, it's doing well. It's got a little one there, and then this big leaf. And this is just a stick. I totally get why people don't like collecting alocasias, because who wants this? It's been doing well just in regular house humidity, so that's why I want to try a couple of these upstairs in just regular humidity. And so yeah, here's the corm. Tiny little root system. And this beautiful leaf. I've also been trying some alocasias in pond. So I use a cup. I cut holes in the bottom, then I place it in another cup, and this acts as a water reservoir. That seems to be okay with alocasias as well. That is inspiring. I'm assuming you're meaning the Cebu blue because that's a stick. Yeah, that's when I showed the Cebu blue. So I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. Inspiring. Gwen from Edmonton. Thanks for joining the chat. Okay, now just gonna use a little bit of the aroid mix. I'm gonna put 2 corms in here. Are you water propagating anything at the moment? Yes. This is an orchid cactus. I took a couple stems. This is the Queen of the Night. I have a kind of large, out of control one. So I'm just trying water propagation with this, just to see how it goes. And then this is a philodendron sportiatum or something like that. I can't remember. The leaf had thrips, so I cut it off. This is just one stem cutting, and it's already sprouted a new growth point, and it's been getting a new leaf there soon. This is the Baltic blue. I took 3 cuttings. I just put one on a moss pole. I'll go grab it here in a second. So it has gone from water to soil, and I'm keeping the soil wet. I do have an Aglaonema upstairs that I'm also water propagating as well. That'd be for another video. It's another, like, I chop the top. I'm propagating the top, and then I am letting the stumps grow, and they're getting some new growth points already. So that's another video for down the road. So I'm not really packing this down. I just want these corms to stand upright. And I'm going to give these ones some water right away because they've been in this nice, cozy, high humidity, high moisture environment, and I don't want these roots to dry up with the dry soil. So I'm going to go get my watering can right now, and I'm going to soak it. That's all I have for like plant chores to do for today. THICCLY made some moves for his pothos. I have one golden pothos and a pole, and it's 2 crazy leaves. Can you send a picture of it somehow? Are you talking about my pothos plant? After the prop box, you might want to acclimate the Jacqueline to ambient. Mine didn't like the sudden transition. Well, I'm going to be a little more tougher on mine. I'm just going to keep it kind of well watered for the next little while. If it doesn't survive, then that's that. I might actually just let it sit in this saucer with water for a while. I'm not going to tip it because it's going to dump, but just so I can soak up everything. Is that what you want for a picture, like my pothos plant? Is that what you're referring to? So that's pretty much all I have to do for plant chores today. If there's anything else that you guys want to see, or if there's any other questions or anything like that, fire them off, and then I'll end the live stream here. So I'm just gonna clean up afterwards here as well. Thanks for sticking around, everybody, and joining me on this Wednesday afternoon. There might be a little bit of a lag for the chat here, but I'll try and, or I'll wait another couple minutes here. I did have a couple people message me on Instagram about my Everything Plants mug. So I do have it on, it's like a third-party site, I guess. These are made to order, so I don't have any stock or anything like that. I think in the description of this video or somewhere on YouTube, it'll link you to the site for this. If you guys, I think I only have like stickers, coffee mug, and like a a water bottle on there right now. I did have like shirts and stuff like that, but I kind of took it all down for now. And I just want to stick to the basics. Like I have 2 of these mugs. I absolutely love them. I have to buy them as well. I might buy a couple more for myself, and then maybe do a giveaway for when my channel hits 100,000 subscribers. So I think maybe giving a few of these mugs away or water bottles or something like that, because I can't send plants around the world. I don't have the appropriate credentials for that. But I think, you know, sending a mug or, you know, some stickers and something like that to some people for the 100,000 subscribers. Hopefully that comes soon. But thanks for joining me today. If you guys don't have any other questions, I think that's going to be it. I love the mug so much. Thank you. I had this designed just so that any person that loves plants can enjoy the design. It just has like a little tiny Everything Plants name right there, but otherwise it's not like a big Everything Plants mug, which I didn't want. I just wanted something where, you know, any plant person could enjoy a beautiful mug. So yeah, I do plan on having more of these live streams. Like I said, I absolutely love them. I get to chat with you guys, do some plant chores, but now it's time for me to clean up, and the kids should be off the bus fairly soon. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and be sure to check out that jade video on Saturday. Yeah, there's some pretty interesting information in there, I think. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for tuning in today. All right, take care, everyone.